Hey everyone, so in my review of my journal articles, I mostly focused on the organization and the content of the argument, and I wanted to go ahead and do my video portion of the assignment on why I chose it, why I think it's a historiography, and also why I think that it can move theater forward. So in my first article, I chose Women and Performance in Medieval and Early Modern Suffolk. I believe that's the pronunciation. If not, I apologize. So basically, to give you a brief synopsis of the article, the author talks about how women were present in theater during this time and in this certain area, Suffolk. And he argues that there's a lot of evidence, although it's complex and it hasn't been very much talked about. So he just talks about how there are instances where they are present in the royal presence, in private households, and parish life, and then he talks about the attacks, how women were attacked for being performers, which I thought were quite effective and very interesting. The reason I felt that this was a historiography was because most of his examples were used from real letters from history, and I thought that was a really, really effective way in explaining that women were present by using actual letters. So then the reason I felt that this article can move theater forward is because it provides more documentation of women who were active performers, producers, dancers, musicians, all types of performers in that time period in this area. And I think that's important because it shows us women to not take advantage of the fact that in today's world there are so many ways that women are acknowledged. Especially in theater, there's specifically a way that they're acknowledged by the Tony Awards. So all in all, I thought it was a really great article to look at. So my next article, I chose Unveiling Euripides, and it was something that was completely different from what I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be something looking at all of his plays as a whole, but then I went on to read it and it completely surprised me. Just to give you a short synopsis of this one as well, it's mostly about the play, Euripides' play, Bacchae, I believe it's called Bacchae, and how it focuses on the conflict between the East and the West in the original. And Melinda Powers observes an adaptation of it called the Bacchae Project by Tim B. Jones. In his adaptation, it uses the East and the West to focus on Islamic religion, and the West being particularly the United States. So that was just such an interesting thing to discover and read about. So one thing I want to point out that I didn't point out in my review was that the Bacchae Project, was performed in 2001, I believe 6 months prior to the actual September 11th attacks. But these issues were still happening, so Tim B. Jones wanted to perform something that spoke on that. And the article that was written, it was written in 2009. So it has the history already of the Bacchae, of the original play Bacchae, and it has the history of September 11th, and it has now been written in a time where that has become a part of our history. So I thought that was a really interesting thing to be able to read. The reason I think this article can move theater forward is because it found a new way to produce an ancient classic, and I think that's really important. I think it's important to be able to speak to your audience today, whether it's something that was written 10 years ago or whether it's something that is an ancient Greek play. So I'm very happy that I got to choose the articles that I did. I felt they were very informative on really, really interesting topics. So I believe that's it. Thank you.